While police are busy arresting people for waving a Union Jack and allegedly saying some bad words, while they idly stand by and allow pro-Hamas and anti-Semitic pro-Palestinian marches to continue, while Jews are being made to feel unsafe on the streets of our country, it appears a new trend has emerged. Although this isn't exactly new as such, but the type and number of the offence has already reached 4 in a fortnight, which seems unprecedented for this type of offence. Although I do feel this could become more prevalent in the future. Yes, we are talking about what's being called substance attacks. Most of us will know it as an acid attack, but with animals using substances from both ends of the pH scale, it's being called a substance attack to encompass all corrosive substances used. Now, substance attacks are most commonly, and this is reported online so it's not my opinion, most commonly used against women and girls as punishment for the refusal of marriage, the denial of sex and the sexual rejection of men and boys, and is an expression of control over women and girls' bodies. A bit like FGM, which, although not the only reason, is also used to assert some control over women and girls by suppressing a girl's sexuality or to ensure her chastity, although it also seems to be being used to teach women and girls a lesson by their owner. And I say owner purposely in this scenario, as most often the act is done to ensure the woman is not wanted by another man, among other reasons. The greatest number of substance attacks occur in South Asian countries, including India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Pakistan and Bangladesh are majority Islam countries, whereas in India, Islam is practiced by approximately 14.2% of the population, the second most popular religion in the country. The latest substance attacks on our soil however, took place in the Golden Lion pub in Jay's Close, Basingstoke, between 9:30 and 10 o'clock on Saturday. The substance was thrown over a woman's back and head as she worked her way through the crowd in a pub. It's been reported that the woman has been left with burns on her back and head. Police are said to now be in a manhunt for the suspect, which obviously shouldn't be as difficult as finding Abdul Azidi, as there must have been CCTV cameras in the pub and so should be able to identify the attacker and then track them using street CCTV. Oh wait, police couldn't even do that properly, could they? Maybe that's why they suddenly found 2 bodies in the Thames. However, even though police are said to have launched a manhunt, they also say that they arrested 2 men, aged 48 and 53, both from Basingstoke, on suspicion of attempted GBH with intent. However, both have been released back into the communities until the 10th of May. ASTI.org.uk, the Acid Survivors Trust International, has reported on their website that the UK now has the highest number of recorded attacks in the world, with a 69% rise in the number of attacks in 2022. With acid attacks peaking in 2017 with 941 recorded cases, before the figures then steadily dropped to reach 421 in 2021. However, 2022 saw 710 cases reported to the police. On a regional level, the highest number of attacks are said to have been in Northumbria, followed by London. The latest reported cases of substance attacks include a man being assaulted whilst going to the St Lawrence graveyard in Ramsgate on Sunday night at around 8:20 p.m, where he was the recipient of what was called a noxious substance. Thankfully, his injuries are believed to be non-life-threatening. And an incident which began when a man reported to be in his late 30s boarded a 109 bus in Brixton and subsequently started smoking. Passengers confronted the man before he took out a bottle of what was believed to be a corrosive substance. Following a 3-hour standoff between police and the suspect, police stormed the bus, arrested and stripped the man in the street. I'm presuming they stripped him in case he had any of this substance on his clothing that could have harmed other people handling him. Nobody was injured in that incident, thankfully, and, of course, the Clapham attacker Abdul Azidi, who splashed a substance on a 31-year-old woman and her 2 children. But let's not forget that it only takes one of these incidents to cause life-threatening or life-changing injuries, so shouldn't simply be grateful that in some instances people weren't seriously injured, because they fucking well could have been. Now granted, not all substance attacks are committed for so-called religion purposes or by certain religions. However, it's clear that high Islamic practicing areas of the world have the highest rates. But most outlets are afraid to say that for fear of being called Islamophobic. I've got to say that when it comes to these kind of practices, I am Islamophobic. Not against cultural Muslims, but against the kind of inbred extremist Muslims who think that this is okay to do. Some, in fact quite a lot of substance attacks have been committed during gang conflicts, although from the research I've been able to do today, I've not been able to find out what the demographics are of the gangs that have consisted of. Some are from people who have no religion or are not gang affiliated, but because it's all they could get their hands on in a fit of rage. But the fact appears to remain that the vast majority are committed by Muslims, and with the police in this country being so afraid to act against one of their pet minority groups, I can see this becoming more prevalent in the coming years. Not just because of extremist Muslims, but for the same reason I feel that people are carrying knives these days, in order to protect themselves from being victim of the same kind of attack. Which obviously doesn't really help the situation, especially as a large amount of people who have been stabbed by their own knife, a knife they took to an argument, which leads me to believe that others will start carrying such substances to use first in defence. In fact, I remember when I was about 15, I knew a guy who would carry a washing up liquid bottle of petrol around with him. When it got late and he needed to go home, he would approach someone in a car, threaten to spray the petrol over the car whilst holding his lighter, unless they got out. This was so he could steal their car and drive home. I remember on one occasion he did this and lit his lighter, not realising that the petrol had leaked. Sparking his lighter, his arm and torso went up in flames. The substance attacks we're currently seeing is, I believe, due to the fact that police are afraid to act against their pet minority groups, which has emboldened them to carry out this kind of attack. And until the government and the police stop pandering to certain groups, this will not get any better. I mean, how long before this kind of punishment is used against people for their sexuality? Can't be that far off now. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get involved in the conversation in the comments, and I'll see you next time.